Bridgerton Season 4 broke our hearts, stitched them back together, and then pulled the rug out from under us before we could even catch our breath. And now, everything we're learning about Season 5 is rewriting what we thought we knew, especially compared to the books. Season 4 ended with a moment no one saw coming. Penelope Bridgerton stepped away from her alter ego, Lady Whistledown. She laid down the quill, retired the column, and for a brief moment, it felt final. We wondered if we'd ever hear that voice again. Then came the twist. In the final moments of Season 4, a brand new Whistledown pamphlet swept through Mayfair, sharp, bold, and buzzing with fresh energy. Someone else had taken up the pen, and no one knows who. That mystery matters far more than it might seem. When Penelope was Whistledown, viewers could sense the truth long before the Ton discovered it. Even the show acknowledged that. The reveal couldn't be stretched too far because the books had already spoiled it. But this time, the new Whistledown doesn't exist on the page. This storyline was created solely for the series, and for the first time in Bridgerton history, no one knows where this is going. It could be anyone. It could even be Penelope herself. After spending 3 seasons desperate to protect her anonymity, it's possible that freedom felt worse than secrecy. Penelope has always been skilled at hiding the truth, even from those closest to her, and it wouldn't be impossible for her to reclaim Whistledown while pretending she walked away. Still, with her original gossip network no longer reliable, the new voice could belong to someone no one would ever suspect. One thing, however, is already clear. This Whistledown will not be gentle. The Season 4 pamphlet promised chaos, and Season 5 is set to deliver it in full. But Penelope's story doesn't end with scandal sheets. The last time we saw her, she was writing a novel, out in the open, without a pseudonym. With Queen Charlotte's blessing, Penelope chose to build something entirely new. In Season 5, both Penelope and Colin are expected to return as published writers, shaping a life together. It's such a radical transformation from the quiet wallflower of Season 1 that it almost feels unreal. And yet, with a new Whistledown stirring trouble across Mayfair, Penelope will inevitably find herself pulled back into the storm. No one understands that game better than she does, and something tells us she won't stay silent for long. Meanwhile, Lady Mandrake is entering an entirely new arena. After orchestrating one of the most important social maneuvers of Season 4, securing Sophie's legitimacy in the eyes of the Queen, she's rewarded with a seat beside Queen Charlotte herself. Becoming a lady-in-waiting may sound like an honor, but in this world, proximity to the crown means access to every secret, scandal, and simmering resentment in the tone. That makes Lady Mandrake one of the most dangerous and fascinating figures heading into Season 5. Her rise, however, comes at a cost. Lady Danbury, one of the show's most powerful and beloved presences, may not return at all. At the end of Season 4, she quietly closed her London house, her plan complete, and prepared for life in the countryside. If Season 5 truly unfolds without her voice in the room, the absence will be felt more deeply than anything the show has faced before. As one chapter closes, another begins, softly, painfully, and steeped in grief. By the end of Season 4, John Sterling was gone, taken suddenly by a brain aneurysm. Francesca Bridgerton became a widow in the space of a single episode. All the while, Michaela, John's cousin, whose presence had been quietly tugging at Francesca all season, stood close enough to feel dangerous. Eventually, Michaela had to leave, because staying hurt too much. That tension remains unresolved. Francesca is grieving, Michaela is gone, and between those truths lies a slow-burn love story waiting to unfold. The groundwork has been laid since Season 3, and the showrunner has confirmed that Francesca's season is coming. Season 5 is expected to build the emotional foundation for one of the most layered romances the series has ever attempted, a love story shaped by loss. And then there's a gentler romance hovering quietly in the background. Violet Bridgerton has spent years alone, devoted to raising her children and watching each of them find love. In Season 4, something finally shifted. Marcus Anderson, Lady Danbury's brother, has been sharing tea with Violet, and in the Ton, that kind of attention never goes unnoticed. Season 5 may see Violet considering marriage again, not out of obligation, but fear of losing something precious. Whether this love flourishes or fades, a Bridgerton matriarch choosing happiness after widowhood would change everything. Benedict and Sophie's story is also moving forward. Their journey didn't end with a proposal, it's expected to continue with the arrival of a child. After overcoming class divides, secrets, and royal scrutiny, they're stepping into parenthood, reshaping the Bridgerton household in the most joyful way. But make no mistake, Season 5 truly belongs to one sibling. Eloise Bridgerton has spent 4 seasons fiercely rejecting marriage, challenging tradition, and questioning every expectation placed on her. She's watched her siblings fall in love and never hesitated to voice her skepticism. And for a long time, we believed her when she said she wanted none of it, until letters changed everything. According to the books, after Marina's death, Eloise sends a condolence letter to Sir Philip Crane. That letter becomes a correspondence. The correspondence becomes connection, built not in ballrooms but in honesty, wit, and quiet understanding. Philip expects someone meek. Instead, Eloise arrives at his door uninvited, unapologetic, and entirely herself. The show has been preparing for this moment since Season 1, long before most viewers realized it. And in Season 4, Eloise admitted she was beginning to see marriage not as a trap, but as companionship. Things get even more intriguing when you consider that Shonda Rhimes has confirmed Marina's show version is fundamentally different from her book counterpart. And if Marina is different, Philip could be too, which means Eloise's love story could unfold in unexpected ways. Or even circle back to someone like Theo Sharp, the printing press worker from Season 2. Fans haven't forgotten him, and perhaps the show hasn't either. Season 5 isn't just continuing Bridgerton, it's reinventing it. The Ton thought it had seen chaos before. Scandals, secrets, betrayals whispered behind gloved hands. But Season 5 is not here to repeat the past. It is here to rewrite it. Because Bridgerton Season 5 is about to change everything we think we know about power, love, and who really controls the story. The biggest shift heading into Season 5 begins with silence. Penelope Bridgerton put down the quill. She retired Lady Whistledown. For years, that voice shaped the Ton, exposed lies, and ruled society from the shadows. When Penelope finally revealed herself and walked away, it felt like an ending, a clean one. The secret was out, the danger was gone, the chapter was closed. And for a brief moment, the Ton believed it could breathe again. But Bridgerton has never been a story about peace lasting very long, because right when everyone thought Whistledown was over, a new pamphlet appeared. Same paper, same reach, completely different energy. Someone else has taken the pen, and unlike before, nobody knows who they are. This is why Season 5 feels different already. When Penelope was Lady Whistledown, the audience always knew the truth, even when the Ton did not. There was comfort in that. We understood the rules of the game. Now those rules are gone. The new Whistledown does not exist in the books. This storyline belongs only to the show, which means no one is ahead of the twist. Every character is a suspect. Every smile hides a motive, and every scandal now feels more dangerous because we do not know who is watching from the shadows. There is also the unsettling possibility that Penelope never truly left at all. She spent years protecting her anonymity, terrified of being exposed. When she finally stepped into the light, that freedom came with a cost. Power lost is not easily accepted, especially by someone who mastered it. Penelope knows how the Ton works better than anyone. She understands timing, language, and cruelty. If the new Whistledown voice feels sharper, smarter, and more intentional, it raises an uncomfortable question. Is this really someone new, or is this Penelope reclaiming control in a way no one would ever suspect? Even her marriage may not be a barrier. Secrets have never stopped her before. But whether the pen belongs to Penelope or someone entirely unexpected, one thing is clear. This new Lady Whistledown will not be kind. The final pamphlet of Season 4 promised disorder, and Season 5 is set to deliver it fully. The Ton thrives on reputation, and whoever controls Whistledown controls the rise and fall of every family. With a mystery voice now pulling the strings, every character is vulnerable. Every truth can be weaponized. And this time, there is no guarantee that exposure will come with mercy. What makes this shift even more powerful is where Penelope now stands without the column. She is no longer hiding behind ink and paper. She is building something new, openly, as a writer under her own name. That alone changes her place in the Ton. She is not just observing society anymore. She is part of it in a visible way. Which means, as scandals spread across Mayfair once again, Penelope will be closer to the fire than ever before. And someone who knows the game that well never stays silent for long. Season 5 is not just continuing a story, it is turning the power upside down. The voice that once defined Bridgerton is either reborn or replaced. And until the truth is revealed, nothing in the Ton is safe. While a new Lady Whistledown threatens to shake the Ton from above, Season 5 is also quietly rearranging power from the inside. Some characters are stepping into rooms they were never meant to enter, while others are slowly fading out, leaving behind silence that feels louder than scandal. One of the most dangerous shifts comes from proximity, because in Bridgerton, getting closer to power has never meant safety. It has always meant exposure. Lady Mandrake is the perfect example. In Season 4, she did not survive the Ton by accident. She played the long game. She engineered Sophie's legitimacy with precision, moved carefully around the Queen, and proved she understands how influence actually works. Her reward is a seat beside Queen Charlotte herself. On the surface, becoming a lady-in-waiting looks like prestige. But anyone who has watched this world long enough knows that the Queen's inner circle is where secrets go to multiply. Lady Mandrake is about to hear everything. Every private disappointment, every political maneuver, every name the Queen smiles at in public and resents in private. Knowledge like that is power, and Season 5 is setting Lady Mandrake up as someone who may know too much to ever step back again. This shift matters even more because of who may no longer be in the room. Lady Danbury, the sharpest voice, the most experienced player, the woman who has guided the Ton from behind the scenes since the very beginning, quietly closed her chapter at the end of Season 4. She left her house, she completed her mission, and she prepared to leave for the countryside. If Season 5 truly moves forward without her presence, it will be the first time the Ton exists without its moral compass and its most dangerous strategist. Her absence does not create peace, it creates a vacuum, and vacuums in Bridgerton are always filled by chaos. At the same time, grief is beginning to shape the story in a way Bridgerton has rarely attempted before. Francesca's world collapsed overnight. One episode she was a wife, the next she was a widow. John's sudden death was not dramatic or romantic. It was cruel in its randomness. And hovering around that loss is Michaela, the person whose presence had already been quietly unsettling Francesca long before tragedy struck. Their connection was never loud. It never crossed a clear line. But it was there, unresolved, unspoken, and heavy enough that Michaela had to leave. Season 5 is not rushing this story. It is letting it breathe in grief, in absence, and in longing. This is not a love story built on balls and declarations. It is one built in silence, restraint, and emotional conflict. And that makes it one of the most dangerous romances the show has ever prepared. Not all love stories in Season 5 are filled with sorrow, though. Some arrive softly, almost unnoticed, until they are impossible to ignore. Violet Bridgerton has spent years watching love happen around her, believing her own chapter was finished. But Season 4 planted a quiet possibility. Tea shared, conversations unhurried, a connection that did not demand attention but earned it. Marcus Anderson represents something Violet has not allowed herself to want in a long time. Companionship without obligation, affection without performance. And yet, the Ton does not allow quiet happiness to exist without pressure. Season 5 may force Violet to choose between her freedom and the fear of losing something rare. And either choice will reshape what the Bridgerton family looks like from the inside. Then there's joy, the kind earned through struggle. Benedict and Sophie did not fight their way through class divides, secrets, and royal judgment just to stop at happily married. Season 5 moves them forward into parenthood, a shift that changes the entire household dynamic. New life brings hope, but it also brings responsibility, legacy, and expectation. The Bridgerton house is evolving, and with every change, the balance of power inside it shifts. Season 5 is not focused on one scandal or one romance. It is layering them. Grief beside hope, silence beside exposure, new beginnings beside quiet goodbyes. Every secret feels heavier. Every love story feels riskier. And as Whistledown's shadow stretches across Mayfair once again, all of these lives are about to collide in ways no one can control. The love story that will ultimately define Season 5 does not arrive with fireworks. It does not announce itself at a ball or unfold under the watchful eyes of the Ton. Instead, it has been hiding in plain sight for 4 seasons, quietly waiting for the right moment to step forward. And that moment is finally coming for Eloise Bridgerton. Eloise has always stood apart from this world. While her siblings chased romance, she questioned it. While society celebrated marriage as the ultimate goal, she called it a trap. She watched love turn into obligation again and again, and she refused to believe that freedom and companionship could coexist. Season after season, Eloise positioned herself as the exception, the one who would never fall, the one who would never bend. And for a long time, the audience believed her. That belief is exactly what makes her story so powerful now. Because Eloise's love story is not built on attraction at first sight, it is built on words, on letters, on conversations that happen without witnesses, without performance, without expectation. When Eloise begins writing to Sir Philip Crane, it does not feel like romance. It feels like curiosity, a moment of kindness, a connection formed through honesty rather than spectacle. In writing, Eloise is free to be exactly who she is: intelligent, blunt, curious, unapologetic. And Philip, on the other side of that correspondence, responds not to an idea of her, but to her mind. This is what makes Season 5 feel so different. For the first time, Bridgerton is exploring a love story that grows in private, one that is not shaped by the ton's rules or expectations. Philip believes he knows what he is inviting into his life: a polite woman, a helper, someone manageable. What arrives instead is Eloise Bridgerton in full form, unfiltered, unwilling to shrink herself, and completely uninterested in fitting into anyone else's idea of who she should be. The show has been preparing this shift for longer than most people realized. Philip has been present since the very beginning, planted quietly into the story long before Eloise was ready for him. That kind of patience matters. It signals intention. And now, with Eloise beginning to see marriage not as a prison, but as the possibility of partnership, Season 5 becomes the turning point. Not because she abandons who she is, but because she finally meets someone who does not require her to change. What adds even more tension to this story is uncertainty. The show has made it clear that the rules of the books no longer fully apply. Characters are different, outcomes are flexible. That means Eloise's future is not guaranteed to follow a familiar path. Philip himself may not be the man the audience expects, or he may not be the only option. There is unfinished history, connections that were never given closure, names the audience still remembers. And Season 5 is aware of that. This love story is bold because it refuses to rush. It is bold because it centers conversation over chemistry, respect over fantasy, and choice over expectation. Eloise is not being written into love. She is walking into it on her own terms. And that alone makes her journey unlike anything Bridgerton has attempted before. Season 5 is not just asking whether Eloise will fall in love. It is asking whether love can exist without erasing the woman she has always been. And that question is powerful enough to change the entire series. Season 5 is not only about romance, it is about control. About who speaks, who listens, and who decides which truths are allowed to survive. With Lady Whistledown reborn in mystery and the old guard slowly stepping away, the Ton is entering its most unstable era yet. And instability is where Bridgerton thrives. For the first time, the audience is just as blind as the characters. There is no trusted narrator anymore, no familiar voice guiding us through the chaos. Every pamphlet now lands without context, without reassurance, without certainty. This changes how scandals land. They feel sharper, more dangerous, because exposure no longer comes from someone we understand. It comes from someone who may have nothing to lose. The absence of Lady Danbury weighs heavily here. She was the one person who could challenge the Queen, redirect narratives, and quietly protect those who needed it. Without her influence, Queen Charlotte stands more isolated than ever, and isolation has never made her gentler. With Lady Mandrick now closer to the throne, the Queen's moods, grudges, and ambitions will ripple through the Ton faster than before. A careless comment, a poorly timed appearance, one wrong alliance. Season 5 is setting up a world where reputation can collapse overnight. Inside the Bridgerton household, the shift is just as profound. This family has always been the emotional center of the series, but Season 5 fractures that comfort. New marriages, new children, and new expectations mean the safety of familiarity is disappearing. The family is growing, but it is also changing, and change creates vulnerability. Secrets do not stay contained when households expand. They leak, they travel, they find their way into Whistledown's pages. Penelope stands at the center of this tension, whether she wants to or not. As a former architect of scandal, she recognizes patterns others miss. She hears rumors differently. She understands timing, and even if she is not holding the pen anymore, she knows exactly how it moves. Watching someone else use her creation, possibly against people she loves, forces her into an impossible position. Speak up and risk suspicion. Stay silent and allow damage. Season 5 places her in a moral conflict far more complex than secrecy ever was. What makes this era truly dangerous is how personal everything has become. Scandals are no longer just gossip. They are grief, ambition, loneliness, and desire colliding in public. Love stories are no longer protected bubbles. They are targets. Every relationship introduced in Season 5 carries risk simply by existing, because in a world ruled by anonymous truth, happiness is an invitation for ruin. Season 5 is carefully tightening its grip. Power is shifting hands, voices are changing, safety nets are disappearing, and the Ton is walking straight into a storm without realizing how little control it has left. Season 5 is a Bridgerton unlike any we've seen before. Every story is layered, every character carries weight, and every secret is poised to explode. This is the season where consequences finally catch up to ambition, curiosity, and love. Nothing is accidental. Every glance, every letter, every whispered word matters. And for the first time, the audience is not just watching Mayfair, they are inside it, unsure who to trust and unsure who will fall next. At the heart of this season is transformation. Penelope has evolved from the wallflower chronicler into a writer who no longer hides, yet still moves through shadows. Her influence remains unmatched, even if she has given up the pen. Watching her navigate the chaos of a Whistledown no one can predict will be both thrilling and terrifying. Season 5 asks the question, what happens when the person who understands the game better than anyone else is no longer bound by the rules of secrecy? Penelope's choices will ripple across Mayfair, affecting every family, every friendship, and every romance in ways that could redefine the Ton. Meanwhile, love takes center stage in a way the show has never attempted. Francesca and Michaela's slow-burning story is set against the backdrop of grief, loss, and unresolved tension, making every interaction heavy with emotion. Their connection is quiet but seismic, promising a romance that feels earned rather than expected. Violet's story brings tenderness into the mix, showing that love can arrive even after decades of responsibility, loss, and solitude. And of course, Benedict and Sophie step into parenthood, adding joy, stakes, and a new kind of family complexity that will alter the Bridgerton household forever. Yet the boldest love story remains Eloise's. After 4 seasons of preparation, her connection with Sir Philip Crane is about to challenge everything the audience thought they knew about her. This is not a conventional romance. It is a love story built on intellect, honesty, and raw personality. It does not bend Eloise into someone she is not. It invites someone else to meet her fully, on her terms. The suspense comes from the unpredictability of the moment. Who is Philip really? Will the story follow the path of the books? Or will it shatter expectations entirely? Season 5 promises to explore love that is daring, clever, and profoundly human. Scandal, secrecy, grief, and desire collide as Whistledown's mysterious new voice fans the flames. Every character is vulnerable. Every alliance is precarious. Every revelation can ignite chaos. Season 5 makes it clear, no one is safe, and that is what makes it impossible to look away. The Bridgerton Ton may think it knows what scandal looks like, but this season is about to redefine it entirely. Every whisper, every secret, and every unspoken thought will matter, and the consequences will shape the future of the Ton in ways that will leave hearts racing, expectations shattered, and audiences desperate for the next revelation. Bridgerton Season 5 is not just a continuation, it is a transformation. It will test loyalty, push boundaries, and challenge the idea that love, power, and secrecy can coexist peacefully. Nothing is predictable, everything is at stake, and when the season ends, the Ton and we will never see Mayfair the same way again.